Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 7:01. Roll call, please. Sandy, out at your back.
Thank you. We have Melissa Hurd, Mary Taggart, Joe Liggett, Sandy Slavin, Kenny Baptiste, Agent Dave Bichette, Jim Smith, and Rob Lassen. I didn't have my notes.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody this is being recorded for television. Okay. First continued hearing is the Buzzard Bay Coalition. Carrie Michelle Krauser. Close.
You can all probably tell I'm not Michelle, but my name is Jack Sidar. I'm with the Buzzard Bay
That's good.
Coalition
Below.
Okay. Michelle can make it tonight, so I'm going to present the project. We're proposing to put in 0.4 acres, or 0.4 miles of trails on the DeJesus property, which is actually owned by the Wareham Conservation Commission. Should I speak into this microphone?
Yes.
Yeah, but Jack, can you wait a second?
Sure.
Our agent speaks to the project, and then you can...
Oh, gosh.
Nice catch. When you're ready, David. Oh, here you go.
Okay, so again, the project site is the DeJesus Conservation Area off of Main Street and Paper Mill Road. And the project involves maintaining existing trails and creating a new section of nature trail. And this work is in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and also within the riverfront area of the Wewianick River. The coalition is proposing to create a trail system on this conservation property along the river. Most of the proposed trail system is comprised of existing trails or bog roads. There is a new section of trail that would have to be created, which would be no closer than 30 feet to the edge of wetlands. There would not need to be any tree clearing, and the trail would remain as a natural surface. The work would be limited to clearing saplings and ground cover vegetation as needed to create a 4-foot wide walkable path. The majority of the new trail to be created is in the upper right of the submitted plan. All the work is proposed to be done by hand. I have no problem with the project and would recommend the approval of the project with a negative determination number 2.
Okay, your turn.
Well, that was a far better job than I was going to do, but the one thing that I would like to add is that we recently have been talking about adding some trail signs to this proposal as well. I think they'd all be outside of any wetland resource area, but since it is Conservation Commission land, is that something, Dave, that we could add to this proposal tonight?
Yeah, I think that's fine. From what I was told, we're talking smaller signs, just trail marker type signs. So that would be something that would typically happen, so I don't think that's an issue.
What's that?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, any questions?
Signs on a wooden post, kind of, yeah, okay.
No. Sandy?
Some of this trail that already exists is awful close to the wetlands, within 30 feet, correct? I mean,
Correct, yeah, so there's a section on the map, that small, sort of narrow area behind
the house, it's very narrow there, and,
It
but
is.
that path already exists.
Correct, so it would be, we put a split rail fence as close to the property line as we could, and so we're hoping that if we trim back a couple branches, we wouldn't have to remove any vegetation. It might just be clipping a couple branches to make it passable, but for the most part, it's extended lawn from that house.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
Mary?
Have no question.
Alicia?
None.
Anybody in the public?
Seeing none, I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Jim? That's him. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Further motion?
I make a motion, we approve the project with a -2, and it includes the installation of 3 signs that were not on the original plan.
Second.
Sandy's motion, Alicia's second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. All set. Okay. Next continued hearing will be an RDA for Timothy and Christine Smith. Kara Charon Associates. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Kamala Nicolosi of Sharon Associates, representing Mr. And Mrs. Timothy Smith.
Okay. David will highlight. There you go.
Bruce Rocha, Fisher and Rocha, the contractor.
Okay. David will highlight, and we'll go from there.
Somebody may have
We'll share.
That's okay, I can look at it. You don't need one.
Okay, so this project site is at 83 Pinehurst Drive, and the project involves the construction of an addition within a coastal flood zone. An 8 by 32-foot addition is proposed on the street side of the house, and there's also a second-story addition to be proposed as well, and this is within coastal flood zone AE elevation 14. The work is also within the riverfront area of the Broad Marsh River. At the last meeting, we had continued the hearing because we did not have the abutter notification cards for the project, which we have received tonight. There's no grade changes proposed at the property. I have no problems with the project and would recommend the approval of it with a negative determination number 2.
Anything to add?
No, that's about the extent of the project. Thank you.
Okay. I got the hint. Rob?
No, all set?
You gotta speak into the mic, that would, I can turn the volume down then.
Okay. Sandy?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing?
Mary?
Nothing.
Alicia?
Nothing.
Anybody in the public?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Sandy's motion,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Further motion?
I make a motion, we approve the project with a -2.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Alicia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
See Mr. Pichette before you start anything?
Sure.
Thank you.
Next continued hearing and NOI for Gary DeMullen, Kara McKinnon Keys Engineering. She's not here. She'll have to-
She said she may not be able to make the meeting. She did get me the abutter cards, which is what we were missing at the last meeting, so I do have those. I'll pass out the plans.
You guys sitting on this one?
You just forgot it this one.
So this project site is at 20 Over Jordan Road, and the project involves upgrading a septic system in the buffer zone to a salt marsh and within a coastal flood zone. The existing system at this house is to be replaced with a new Title V denitrification system. Due to the size limitations of the lot, the new leach field will be within the buffer zone to the salt marsh, approximately 40 feet to the marsh. All the work is within the existing lawn area of the property. Hay bales and silt fence should be used for erosion control at the project. There's no significant grade changes proposed. We have received a DEP file number, and this project also has been submitted to the Board of Health for their review. And again, we were waiting for the abutter notification cards, which we have. So at this point, I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the requirement for both hay bales and silt fence for erosion control for the project.
Okay, well, seeing as she's not here for any questions, unless you have any questions for David.
I got a question, Dave. Should we still condition this on approval from the Board of Health?
We can do that, if the commission wants
It's a
to.
safeguard.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just wanted to see her get her paperwork in before we made that condition.
Right.
Okay, no other questions?
Anybody else? No. Nobody in the public?
Oh.
Huh?
Can I
Sandy?
Can I do my normal low nitrogen releasing
Oh, you can make the motion.
when I put in my motion? Okay.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Seeing no one, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Alicia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion, we approve the project with the normal standard order of conditions, plus the use of hay bales and silk fence, plus the approval of the Board of Health for the septic system, plus the application of a slow nitrogen-releasing fertilizer.
Second?
Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. That's not time yet. Is anybody here for the Richard Smith hearing for JC Engineering? Okay, they requested a continuance to February 2nd, February 7th, excuse me,
7th?
7th.
I make a motion, we can continue the hearing until February 7.
Second. Motion by Sandy, seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Oh, we may as well do the last continued one. Notice of intent, Philip Charalucci. Ah. Okay, identify yourself for the record.
Hi, I'm Philip Charalucci.
Okay, David will highlight, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you. Okay, so this project site is in the Wareham River, and the project is an aquaculture project to raise oysters, and this is within land under the ocean, within land containing shellfish, and within a coastal flood zone. The area is also within the estimated habitat of rare and endangered species. The proposed aquaculture operation would occupy approximately 2 acres of watershed area, which would be identified with floating buoys. Floating net baskets would be installed within the grant area. These would be anchored with helical screw anchors that would be installed according to the grid plan that was submitted. The oyster grow cages would be set out in strings approximately 100 feet in length and approximately 30 feet apart. We had continued this meeting at the last meeting for a couple of reasons. We did not have a DEP file number, which we have since received. We were also waiting for comments from the Mass Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program, and we have also received comments from them as well on this project. Their recommendations are that the project can be approved with certain conditions. They have a couple of conditions that they put in their letter, which you have in your mail, that they're requiring be in the order of conditions if this, for this project to be approvable. And the conditions have to do with not placing any netting within the aquaculture area. So that was one of the main things, and with those conditions, they say that they would be okay with the project being approved. So with those things in mind, since we have all the issues addressed by Natural Heritage and we have a DEP file number, the commission can issue an order of conditions at this point. So I would recommend that that be done with the conditions required by Mass Natural Heritage.
Okay, do you have anything to say?
No. Now, the netting that their natural resources is talking about is, it's predator netting. It's to be placed on top of the substrate in case of seeding, but the method of oyster growing that I'm using is gonna be all in floating cages. So that's not a big deal that I can't use it.
You can't use the
I
netting?
can't use the predator netting. I'm not gonna need it. I'm not gonna need to implement that
Okay.
netting for my method of growing.
Okay.
How are they harvested?
Yep.
How are they harvested?
How are
Are they harvested by hand or?
By
is it-
hand, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They'll be dumped on a culling table and sorted by hand. All my work's gonna be done from the boat.
Yep.
I'll have a davit set up, be hauling into the boat.
Jim? No. Sandy?
I was fortunate enough to go to the program at the Historical Society at Monday, and I do remember seeing you there. Thank you for attending. Would that be pretty much similar to
That
what
is
we saw?
the exact same
So what we
equipment.
saw from Mr. Sutter using is the
Yep.
same type of method you'll be using, the floating things that get tipped?
Yep, the
and
exact same, exactly the same equipment.
That was a very interesting
Yeah, it was
program.
nice.
For those that missed it, you missed something important. It was very educational. Yes. How deep is this water going to be? So you're going to have to do everything by boat?
The water is, it varies in depth from waist to chest deep, so I would say 3 to 5 feet.
So you might be able to do some of it by going out at low tide and walking it, or always by boat?
I'm gonna really have it set up to be working from the boat for the most part, because my workstation's gonna be in the boat. Everything I need is gonna be self-contained inside that boat.
And where will your boat be placed when you're not using it?
Zaco Marina.
It will be at Zeco?
Yep, and I've already spoken with them in regards to docking the boat
So
there.
you have no access from the land to the site?
I have
Everything
no
has-
access from land, no.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you. I done.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Mary?
No question.
Lisa?
No?
Anybody in the public? No? Take a motion.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Sandy's motion, seconded by
Second.
Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Further motion?
I make a motion, we approve the project with a normal standard order of conditions, plus the two that are stated in the January 17th Division of Fishery and Wildlife mail that talks about prohibited to take, to avoid the never mind. All netting, including predator netting, is forbidden on this agricultural site, and site access for agricultural operations shall occur by boat. Those are the two conditions stated by the state.
Sandy's motion,
Second.
seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Might be an 8 o'clock night.
Okay. Rolling now.
Clear the room.
Yeah.
Is anybody?
Okay. Who's reading the hearings? You are?
I got my
Welcome back.
glasses back. Town of Wareham Conservation Commission Memorial Town Hall, 54 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. On Wednesday, January 17th, 2018, at 7:15 PM on the notice of intent for James McIntosh and care of Foresight Engineering, Inc., 518 County Road, West Wareham, Mass. 02576, to upgrade a failed septic system for property located at Assessor's Map 129B2, Lot 19, 12 Boynton Ave, Wareham.
Okay.
Good evening, Darren Michaelis from Foresight Engineering.
Okay. David will highlight, and then we'll get back to you.
The project site again is at 12 Boynton Ave, and the project involves upgrading a septic system in the buffer zone to Agawam Mill Pond. The existing system is to be replaced with a new Title V nitrogen-reducing system. Due to the small size of the lot, all of the work is going to be in the buffer zone to the pond. The existing system would be removed prior to the installation of the new system, which would be constructed in the same general location as the current system. The new leach field would be approximately 60 feet from the edge of the wetland, and this would also have a 40 mil liner around the leach field, and there would also be a separate pump chamber as part of the system. The nearest work would be approximately 35 feet to the edge of the pond. There's no grade changes proposed. Silt fence is proposed between the work and the resource area. I would, again, recommend hay bales and silt fence. We did get a DEP file number, so at this point, I'd recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the added condition of the hay bales for the erosion control.
All right, thank you very much. No problem with the hay bales, I understand that with the slope there. We do have our Board of Health approvals, so we are ready to go. The closest work to the buffer zone or the actual resource is just a blower unit, which sits on a 2x2 concrete pad. It'll just be a 1-foot trench around the side of the house. The remainder of the work is in the front of the house where the old system was. And we've gotten it as far away as we can from the resource area.
Okay. Rob?
No.
Jim? Sandy?
Is there a driveway to this house?
Basically where the system's going. It's
So
like
it'll be over the driveway?
Yep, so that's another reason we did this type of system instead of the plastic units, is so it can be parked on.
So it's gonna have weight on it?
Yeah, so it's H20 loading, and we'll have cast iron covers for the inspection ports in the driveway, which is just gravel at this point. I don't believe they're gonna pave anything. The road itself isn't even paved at that end, so.
That was it, thank you.
Jim?
No questions.
Mary?
No question.
Lisa? I'm working on that. Okay, The public, well, I don't see anybody.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Alicia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Further motion?
I make a motion, we approve the project with standard order of conditions with the stipulation that there will be silk fence and hay bales for erosion control at this site.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Have a good
Before
night.
we start any work, check with Mr. Bichette.
Okay. Well, you can read that other one then. There,
Yep, notice of public hearing Wednesday, January 17th, 2018, at 7:15 PM on the notice of intent for Susan MacArthur, Mass Department of Transportation, in care of Vancy Hagen Verstillon, Inc., 101 Walnut Street, Watertown, Mass. 02472, for transportation improvements to Cranberry Highway, Route 6/28, between the separation of the westbound and eastbound lanes near the Cranberry Plaza Shopping Center and a point approximately 90 feet east of the Red Brook Road intersection, Wareham, Mass.
thank you. I have to ask, is anybody here for that? There's nobody here. They've requested a continuance to February 21st.
I make a motion, we continue the hearing until February 21st.
Second.
Motion by Sandy, seconded by Mary. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Okay. You want to do certificates first? Okay, Douglas Robinson, 41 Rose Point Ave.
This was a project for a septic system upgrade that was done probably 20-something years ago, and they just never got a certificate of compliance, so they're trying to close out some paperwork because the property's being sold. So I'd recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project.
So moved.
Sandy's motion,
Second.
seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay.
If it was done 20 years ago, is it still up to code?
Well, to their 20-year
Then it
code.
was.
Certificate of compliance for James Wood, 24 Pine Tree Drive.
This was a project for a new pier in Butler's Cove, which we approved in 2016. The project has been completed according to the order of conditions, so I'd recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project.
So moved.
Sandy's motion,
Second.
seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Okay, discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Who's the what?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just where we just did the certificates of compliance, can we put on the agenda for our next meeting to actually add something into our
Standard conditions?
standard conditions where at the completion of the project and no later than 3 years that they come back for a certificate of completion or an extension? So that way it's written right in there?
Can we do that?
Yeah, that can be placed into the standard conditions.
That way they have a copy right before them so they can see it, so we don't run into that.
Yeah, the idea
10,
of waiting
15.
20 years to come back for certification of compliance.
Well, so the condition would say that they either need to come in and get a certificate of compliance or they need to get an extension? Is that what
Within
you're-
3 years' time.
And then what if they don't do that?
Well, then we're in the same boat, but now we got, I'm trying to alleviate this 10, 15.
Yeah, no, I got you.
That cuts it in half now.
Yeah, hopefully it'll put them on notice to do something sooner.
I mean, it's not something that's an enforceable thing, it's more or less like a heads up to the people, they can actually sit on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's fine. I can
Write that into the conditions.
I can write that into the conditions. Does the board want to see that as a draft before I start using it, or do we want to just discuss it next meeting, and once the board agrees with the language, then from that point, we'll start putting it in the orders?
Why don't you put a draft together?
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
It'd be easier. I mean, Yeah, I can see your point, Joe.
Yeah, it's just out there, so at least they got a copy in their hand. They read it at least once.
Yeah, as far as enforcing it being another thing.
Yeah, 'cause
but-
I know what it's like to forget about stuff like that,
Yeah,
you know, but if they got their paperwork right there, at least they've read it once.
okay. We got discussion for 61A properties release requests. David, I'll let you handle that.
Sure. These properties are properties that are associated with the Blue Wave solar projects that we approved a couple meetings ago, that were agricultural land. So in order for them to proceed, they need to take the properties out of 61A. And as part of that process, the town is offered the first right of refusal to purchase the property. I don't see this as property that I'm going to recommend to the board to purchase. It doesn't connect to any conservation property, and it would be very pricey because its value is high now that there's been an approved project to be put on it. So I'm not recommending approval for the commission, or I'm not recommending for the commission to seek to purchase the land.
Any
Okay.
idea the additional tax revenue will be recognized by the town when this goes out of agricultural land?
I don't have any figure on that.
I'm not sure how that works.
They're gonna have to pay, what happens is they'll have to
gotta
pay
pay
a certain amount of
back
back taxes on it. And then,
3 years, isn't it?
I think it's 3 to 5 years, I'm not sure exactly, depending on the circumstances. But then, of course, once that occurs, then the property can be taxed at a normal rate for what it is going forward.
Yeah.
So when a property is in Chapter 61A, for those who may not be familiar, it's a protection for agricultural property so that they don't pay as much in taxes as everybody else would.
Oh,
But
yes.
once you remove it, then you get some back taxes charged against you.
Yeah. How'd they get this far along in the process without knowing they had the property?
Well, they had some arrangements with the owners, of course, and I think they just were under the assumption that the town wasn't gonna purchase it. That's a risk they took. So if the town came out and said, yeah, we wanna buy it, they're out of luck.
Yeah, but these are dated December 20th. 30 days after that is just about here, isn't it not?
It is just about here, yes. And if nothing is done within the time frame, then the assumption is that the town doesn't wanna buy it.
Was this on the selectmen's agenda this past Tuesday?
I do not know that.
Do you need a motion that we're not interested in pursuing the purchase of this land?
Yes, please.
I make that motion that we're not interested, Conservation Commission is not interested in purchasing this land.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, takes care of that.
It's more of, that the commission is not recommending the purchase of it. We wouldn't purchase it per se directly. But if the town wanted to, then that would be there.
Okay. We got nothing else.
The only other thing I'd like to mention is in your mail, the MACC annual conference is coming up, so I just want anybody who's interested to take a look at that to see if you wish to attend, just let me know and I can start putting that into the works. You don't have to let me know immediately, but sometime within the next week or so, maybe by the next meeting, it would be nice to get that. If you know ahead of time that you definitely want to, then just email me or call me, and then I'll start keeping track of that list.
You going?
I'm not sure yet if I am.
I haven't looked at the list. I saw an email on it too, and so I got an email from them.
You're talking about the MACC.
Yeah, at Holy Cross.
The other one for the Buzzards Bay Coalition, we don't need to sign up for, it's just go.
Right.
Okay.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else? Got anything?
Sorry, one last thing. Can we go back and start looking at some old enforcement orders to see if they've been implemented?
Yes, we can. I actually have a list that I'm starting to look at for that
Okay.
purpose.
Because the very first site I ever went on, I don't even know if they implemented what we asked them to do. And that was how long ago? The house on the corner of Maple Spring Road, the business. He had his trailers in the wetlands. Come on.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. She's talking about, well, yeah, I know which one you're talking about, yes.
And that was how long ago?
That was quite a while back.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna dig it out. Ta-da.
I'm trying to place it.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah, it's
Maple
right
Springs
there.
Road?
yeah, isn't it off of Maple Springs?
Well, not really.
Well, just before you go up the hill.
Yeah. It's off the Cranberry Highway, basically, is what it's off of.
Yeah.
Okay, that's McKee. All the stuff in the wetland. March 2009. Just that there are times in which there's been, we really make sure that some of this stuff has been worked on, cleaned up or whatever, but. Okay, just thought I'd bring, I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Rob to adjourn at
You deferred, Jim occasion.
it's a new record, 7:43.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. White, are we off the air?